This video starts off on the Sunday after the All British Challenge at Winton. So this will be the Sunday Mark Sports Car Sprint event. So I had high hopes after doing reasonably well on the Saturday, but as you're about to see, things went downward very quickly and I ended up with a few nasty little problems to solve. Anyway, this is the story of the last couple of weeks. that's my day done then. You'll have heard the bang and seen me pulling off the track at the end there. I'm now luckily managed to get the car loaded onto the trailer, which was a bit of a miracle. The flatbed dropped it straight off, and what's happened is the entire wheel has come off the hub. So I think we've got a broken axle there. So great fun. So no doubt there'll be a short series on replacing that. I'll investigate it next week. I'll start pulling all the old parts off, and I'll investigate stronger hubs, stronger drive shafts, because if this breaks I might as well do both of them and do a reasonable job on them. Okay, so more next time I guess. Until the next video, I will see you soon. Bye. I've now taken both drive shafts off. This is the side that was damaged obviously, and the only damage I can see is a little bit of a mark on the brake shoes. There's no damage on the front of the wheel arch, no damage on the rear, so I think incredibly lucky. There's a little bit of marking on the inside of here, but nothing that's too severe. So now we'll get on with the job of buying uprated axles and putting them in. The parts for my car arrived today, which was quite a surprise. I only ordered them on Thursday last week and it's now Monday. So it's taken less than a week for the box to come from America to Australia, well, to Melbourne, Australia. So the box is here, and I thought I'd do a little bit of an unboxing because I would have liked to have seen what the packaging was like, although it does look very sturdy. It's with DHL, the couriers. So yeah, we'll do a quick unboxing. Bit heavy. Invoice. See what we've got in the bits. I think these wheel studs. I ordered extra wheel studs because they're the longer ones. So the Motorsport, they're ARP wheel studs. All new fittings and instructions by the looks of things. Here's the second one of those. So I think these are adapters that go onto the gearbox, no sorry, the differential side to allow everything to fit. Seem to be well wrapped, for sure. So there we go. This I'm assuming will fit on, yeah, because this is 5 bolt, and it's 4 bolt onto the actual hub itself. So that will go on there, and then the adapter, that will go onto the differential. And this, of course, is the wrong way around. It's obviously been done that way for shipping. I'm assuming There we go. So I'm assuming that will have to be torqued up to the correct setting, which will be in the fitting instructions, which I have here. So I'll read the instructions and then we'll have a go at putting them on the car. The kit as it comes is pretty comprehensive. You've got the axles, you've got all of the mounting hardware that you need, and these adapter plates which go between the diff and the first joint on the shaft. So this is what I'm going to go for first. There's quite a comprehensive set of instructions there, and I will go through those bit by bit, but the first thing I'm going to do is fit this to the diff, the two of them. There's two under there, and then there is some relieving to do on the swing arm to clear this area here. Obviously it bolts on here where the brakes are, so this has to all be relieved a little bit, but to make sure everything fits properly, I'll need to put these spacers on, or these adapters on first. So that's my first job. The instructions say to grind down the lip towards the front of the car, which I thought was here, but that all looks round. But down the end, it's flat. And this is too difficult for me to get to. So I'm just going to take the whole swing arm out. I've clearanced out the inside of the housing, as it says to do in the instructions. And you can see at the back there, I've got the adapter for the diff. So that's all ready to go. I've just finished doing the test measurements to make sure that there's enough droop in the axle. So now I've just got to put it all together, bolt it all in. And there we have it, the full install. I just have to replace that nut with the special lock nut that goes on, but I'll wait until I put the wheels on and drop the car down, because it needs to be torqued up to 240 foot-pounds or something. But we're all done, everything's in place. So excellent, I just have to do the other side now. Just in case anyone's wondering what sort of workshop facilities I'm using, this is it. I'm out in the street because the car won't come off the trailer after Winton. Obviously with a broken axle, there was no way of getting it off the trailer. So I've done all my work here out in the street with the car jacked up on the trailer. I've obviously got the first side done, that's all complete. I did discover that those wheel studs, as well as being longer, are thicker. So the wheel nuts I have don't fit on them, so I'm going to have to get some new ones of those. But luckily the wheels do still fit on, which is okay. So now I just have the second side to do. Already got the adapter in place. Just going to put the swing arm in and tie everything together. So that's it, it's all done. Did have a spanner thrown in the works. Unfortunately I didn't realise, but the backing plate was damaged. There's a big dent in the bottom of it there. So I had a little bit of problem getting the whole lot to bolt up properly without binding, but it's all on now, so I just have to bleed the brakes. I've got a new backing pad, well actually it's a whole complete unit. Backing pad, backing plate, brakes, everything. So I'll cannibalise the good stuff off here. The wheel cylinder's new, the clips are all new, so I'll take whatever I need. But yeah, all I have to do now is bleed the brakes. This is the finished product. I should have probably done this video before I loaded the car on the trailer, but never mind. But you can see the extra long thick studs, and everything's all sorted out in there. So looking forward to a great weekend's racing at Phillip Island, although the weather forecast is for rain. So fingers crossed, and we'll see how we go. Once more into the breach then. I've spent this week replacing the axles, and I've also replaced the front brake pads. A racing friend of mine is suggesting that my continuing brake problems because of my choice of pads. So I've gone to Brembo pads from EBC, and we'll see if that makes a difference. Apart from that, no real changes. Well, the axles and the brake pads are enough, I think. It's Friday currently. I'm all packed up and ready to go. I'll be going down on Saturday and racing on Sunday. At this stage, the weather forecast isn't looking great, but it wasn't for Winton last time either, so fingers crossed we'll get a bit of dry running at some stage or other, or at least not too damp. So it's obvious from that video there are a few problems. That's 2 races in a row where I've only managed to do the first run. So the axles are okay, but the steering stiffened up really badly. You can see in one part of the video where I nearly steered off the track because I couldn't turn the steering wheel with one hand when I missed a gear. So that wasn't good. The camera footage was a bit shaky, which is a bit unfortunate. I had a new mount and it seems to be a bit bouncy, so we'll work on that. And I've got the steering rack, as you can see, out on the a little bench, and I'm going to strip it down and have a look at that. I've gone through everything else and narrowed it down to the steering rack, so I'm now going to strip that down and see if I can find what the problem is. I've pulled all the parts apart and looking for something obvious-ish in here, I guess, or wherever, and totally missed the fact that the shaft is bent. I've no idea how that happened, because that is quite a severe bend. But anyway, so this is now basically useless. Anyway, the guys at Triumph Spares in Fairfield came up with a second-hand replacement. So it's good enough to use. I'll probably do a rebuild on it later. But for the moment, that will go in. Good usable condition, as they say. And that will get me to the racetrack on Sunday for the Rob Roy Hill climb. That's it then. The steering rack's fitted. I haven't shown too much of that because it's just me crawling around under the car doing a few bolts up. So I think we all know that's not really, everyone knows how to do that. But the rack went in. I took it down this morning for a wheel alignment, which they've done. So it's now all ready for the hill climb at Rob Roy on Sunday. So we'll see how it goes there.